So earlier on, what was your relationship with guys like Twilight Tone, Dug Infinite, and
Dug Infinite? Yeah. Oh man, I just talked to Twilight the other day. I just talked to him a couple of days ago. You know, my relationship with folks has always been very good. You know, I think that people that make music, when they're dealing with me, it's obvious that I'm there for the music. So it makes our interaction very easy. And then, you know, everybody joke around and talk shit and laugh and blah, blah, blah. But I'm very interested in creating the most quality composition. And I have good relationships with producers, I think, because of that. I've been blessed to have good relationships because the producers, I think, know that whatever kind of music I'm working on, like I said, it might be rap, it might be pop, it could be anything, you know, alternative, because I do write in a lot of situations you would not think I would be in the middle of. But my relationship with those guys has always been great. I just saw Doug not that long ago, it might be a year now. But like I said, there's heavy common respect amongst everybody. And in that, everybody is clear that you know what the main goal is, and that's to get to the best song possible. So I've always had good relationships with them.
What was their role going into your debut album?
Oh, well, No ID produced a track on there. Doug produced a track on there. Twilight did some cuts on one of the songs. I forget what song it is that he's on. But Twilight is cutting on one of the tunes. It's funny you brought them up because I do have a picture, an old picture of Doug and Twilight in the studio from one of the sessions here in Chicago. Yeah.
Speaking on those sessions, can you take us back to the recording sessions? What were they like?
Oh man. So yeah, so we recorded half the album in New York, and we recorded half here. The sessions in New York were memorable because we had so much fun. It was funny times too. So my A&R at the time was Newmark, DJ Newmark, who was from Jurassic 5. So he's a funny dude. We tight to this day. I just talked to him recently too. But the sessions were dope, man. You know, I have pictures from that session, from the sessions in New York. I do have pictures from both sessions. I take that back. So the sessions in New York, the only people that were from Chicago that were there were me and Ye. You know, everybody else was all my dudes from back at the crib in New York. Like line for line and the whole 9 yards, like all my people that's on there and other cats, you know what I'm saying, from the block or whatever, that will come through because we recorded it in the Bronx. I'm really bugging that for the very first time, I don't remember the name of the studio. That's really bugging. I want to say Power Play. I always remember the engineer. Her name was Liz Mercado. We've been in touch recently too. She was cool as hell. And everybody we had a lot of fun, man. We had a lot of fun. Like, what are some of the memorable? I was laughing because there was this one time where we had some herb. Something wasn't good. And my dude Q, who produced, the dude that produced, hold on, yeah. Nah, sorry about that.
It's okay.
They just, people be bugging, they see something, they like, whatever, we just in there. Sorry about that. So we had some herb, and it didn't sit well with Q, who produced what? My boy Big Q, he the one that produced what? And it didn't sit well with Kanye either. So you kind of had to be there, but Q was bugging, man. He was bugging so much, we had to call an ambulance, yo. crazy. He was like, I don't know what he was bugging, man. And like I remember he would be dying laughing right now if he was here while I was telling the story. I remember he was like, yo, I don't know, I'm going crazy. And I remember he grabbed my chain and he broke my chain off my neck. And I was like, yo, what the fuck? And then he went and slapped somebody else. He slapped this dude that was sitting on this chair. And then ran by him and ran down the stairs. It was some crazy shit, but we had a good ass time though, man. Like when we were listening back, once we got done recording, and we were listening back, probably my eyes were. Man, we turned out the lights, we was standing up on chairs and on the tables and shit. You know what I'm saying? This shit was butter. And then when we got to Chicago, we had fun here too. You got a partner.
So good.
That shit just had me laughing too much, just thinking about it. But we had a good time in Chicago too, but Chicago felt more like work. Like we was trying to get it done. The deadline was on us. Like New York was the first joints, you know what I'm saying? Once we was here, you know, we had the deadline riding on us. We was spending the night. We didn't know it was daytime or nighttime. We was spending the night in the studio like that once we was here at the crib. And so, but the good thing about that album was it was the first album because Chicago was super segregated. So because I wasn't from here, I didn't have these issues. And it was the first album out of Chicago that had multiple people on it like that was from here. Like Ye was on there, Andy C's on there, Dug Infinite's on there, No ID's on there, Twilight Tone is cutting. You know, Chicago didn't get down like that. They didn't get down like that. Right. If you wasn't in there, you dig. You ain't gonna hear it like that. You know, so that was smooth, and that was a good. It's interesting because think about how early that was, and think about all those people that was a part of that, and all of them are, you know, continue to do things like that. And this is really blowing whatever, you know, even though folks had connections and was already making moves, but you know, and that's a good look. You know, that's probably one of my most favorite things about the album is, you know, was that it's a representation of. It really is a representation of how I flow and how I get down with folks. You know what I mean? Right. And how I, you know, have those relationships that we're able to build on and expound on and you know, just really dig into the whole creative energy and put something out there. So it's one of my favorite aspects about the project is that it was a project. You know, it's not about me, it's about the project. It's about, you know what I mean? I am the artist and that's being presented, but you know, it's really so much more going on than just, you know, me and me talking about me and all of that, you know what I mean? Right. Yeah.
You talked earlier on about Kanye playing a part in the album. He ended up placing 8 tracks.
He did most of the album.
What kind of interaction did you guys have in the studio? Was he becoming that producer he's known today, or was he?
You know, man, I know Ye from a very different dynamic than a lot of folks. I was blessed to have a different vantage point because people are unable to digest what Ye is saying or who he is maybe, but even though he and I have not been in touch like that over the years, I did see him. I went to a Sunday service in Calabasas some years ago, and it was really good to reunite and see each other in the whole nine. But I'm very familiar with the work that he put in, and people are, if there's one thing I've learned growing up, especially living in Chicago as a New Yorker and not having family here and all of that, it was one thing I learned is that people will not understand your movement, man. They won't. And they won't appreciate, you know, for every $10 you give them, they'll treat it like you gave them 50 cents. And so the world treats him like that, I think. But I'm very familiar with where he came from. I never seen nobody work that hard, never. I worked with a lot of people over the years, and I never seen anybody have that work ethic. people deal with his ego, but I'm very familiar with his humility. You know what I'm saying? I remember he really couldn't stand his voice. He would be like, man, I wish I had your voice, Grav. He'd be like, I don't like my voice, blah, 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 blah. But I always knew he was cold. I thought he was cold already, which is why he on Line for Line. I was like, bro, you gonna jump on this. You know what I'm saying? I know you did the beat, but you gotta spit on this. And even while we was recording my album on the downtime, when we would be chilling, we would be bumping his demo. It was good like that. I remember being in the car with Grapevine and playing Ye joints for the first time, and Grapevine was like, yo, who the fuck is this? And my other dude, Sweat, who's on Line for Line too, he was like, this dude is a prodigy. This dude is a child prodigy. Like, where did he come from? I mean, it was very obvious to certain folks that are some of the most creative people in my life. Grapevine is one of the most creative people you could ever want to meet. This dude is beyond, he's super duper duper talented. You know, he do the acting thing. He been in a lot of movies and shit now, but this dude is dumb talented. But everybody was like, yo, this kid is, this dude is a prodigy. And he was, and he put the work in it. Everything that he would ever, he doesn't, for everything that you know about Ye, there's a couple things that I hate when people try to talk bad about him, because they really just don't know. And it's such an example of how people act on and say things without knowing everything. You know, people do it to me all the time. Just like when people will walk up and be like, oh, we got to show them New York. You know, like, people don't take the time to know something. They just live in their bubble. But for everything you know about Ye, you can't tell me something that you can't reference work being put in. You don't know no stories about nobody giving them something or giving them a play, or, you know, you don't have none of them stories.
Right.
Because it didn't go down like that. I'm talking about work, bro. I mean, you never seen, I know a lot of producers, they can say what they want. They know they don't work like that. They know they don't work like that. This dude is pumping out, I don't know how many beats a day. He's relentless. He's like a monster, B. This is a machine, bro. You know, and it shows in so much. You know what I'm saying? I'm so not surprised that he is in the position that he in, and it's all very deserved. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we got along very well. I think, and to go back to your original question, I know I'm always going off, but we got along very well again because I think we could acknowledge and respect the creative energy that was in the room. You know, he was younger than me, so it wasn't like we hung like that. He was like 18 when he worked on the album, you know what I'm saying? But I know all his boys in the whole nine. I was just with GLC and Really Though, and Aerostar. Them three dudes there, Aaron, who's Aerostar, Leonard, who's GLC, and Warren, who is Really Though. Them the three dudes I've seen around him, for real, in the beginning. Everybody else been around too, but them three dudes, them was his boys. Them are the dudes that when I would go over there, he'd be cutting their hair and all of that kind of flav. That was his crew, and that's who was on the songs and blah, 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 blah. You know, but we got along well, man, because it was, like I said, the creative energy was the same as it always is with folks. You know, we could communicate, and his level of talent, man, shit, it was just one of them things. If you're a creative dude, when you was in the room, you was like, oof, yeah, this is good. This is good, yeah. So we got along well. We got along well. We were real good and loving when I just saw him in LA too. You know what I'm saying? We get along well.
Very dope.